Good morning. This is the Master Pattern Report for Monday, October 13th. And first, let's look at our results from last week. Um, Last week we had a number of trades more than what we usually do. And let me just cite to you so you get a feel for how the trades went. We had a trade which resulted in a plus 50%. Another trade plus 79%. Another trade uh, plus 55. One for plus 7. And then we had two minuses last week, a 16% loss and a 60% loss. The net result was a 115 plus 115% for the week. We were back into oil, and we sold out the oil position short, and we're looking for a bounce in oil here. And if it gets up to a certain point, we'll then short it back somewhere around $85, $86. We think this thing might drop even further than the 77 that we saw last week. And so far as predictions for this coming week, today, the 13th, was the up day that we were looking for on Friday. Friday was kind of a mixed day, up or down 700, up 300, and ending up 128 points. And applying our one-day rule, we're getting a bounce today. I think it's around noontime. We're up around 500 points. However, I do think that the odds are that today will end up on the downside. May not necessarily end up on the negative side, but it may well end up down significantly from where we are at this point. We do think that it's a good time to be cherry picking, buying certain good quality stocks at this point in time. We continue to like the metals, especially silver. We think that it's a good buy here. And we expect that one day within the next 4 to 6 months, you're going to wake up and say, well, that was some trade. I want to talk to you a little bit about real estate. But first, before we do that, I want to discuss briefly with you the initial premise behind the master pattern, going back several years, was that one of the factors involved was the breakdown of law and order. That we feel that things are just going to completely fall apart, and we're beginning to see that to a greater and more defined example. For instance, in the Ohio Secretary of State, Jennifer Brunner, in her recent obvious politically motivated agenda to prevent certain absentee ballots from being registrations from being accepted, which had been declared illegal by the appellate court. This is just an example of what's to come and what's been going on behind the scenes. Will become more transparent as we go along, and we see judges and politicians taking action on their own without any due process, and as well as in municipalities. We do, as we've said earlier, we do expect to see municipalities taking a hit, taking a bankruptcy. We mentioned last week California was having some bond problems. We don't think that's going to be exclusive to one or two areas. We think it's going to be pretty widespread. We suggest that people proceed with caution. We think that buying what we're doing. I don't want to suggest anything to anybody. What we're doing is we're buying metals. Various types of commodities, because we think that that's where the protection will be, especially hardcore stuff. I myself have about 8 bags of silver coins and various gold coins. and I don't want to be an alarmist, but I think this could be really nasty within the next 12 to 24 months. But we still think that this market will end up up for a while, if for nothing else for inflation and the manipulation of the market by the SEC and Congress and whatnot. Will bring it back at least temporarily, and bring it back strong too, I may add. The other thing I wanted to discuss for today is stopping the real estate madness. If we don't get the real estate issue under control, we're in big trouble. I mean, this is the thing that's going to eventually bring everything down, derivatives, the whole thing. And we've set forth a program for bottoming out, at least laying a base for real estate prices. And we have a white paper on that at www.gilchristforum.net. You can go to .com. I've been corrected. Gilchrist, GILCHRIST, forum, FORUM.com. And go there's a white paper on our real estate proposal. Basically, what we're suggesting is that federal government, two parts. Federal government escalate the depreciation schedule on people who buy homes, 1 to 4 family homes at this point in time, so they'll have a greater tax write-off. And the second thing is to create an insurance, a real estate value insurance fund, which in effect would be that everybody in the community would pay into this fund $400 a year, and provide a significant amount of funds for anybody who may be buying a property at this time and incurring a loss down the road. There would be limits set to the amount of losses. There would be a deductible depending on how much you want to pay, 5% to up to 10%, and a very viable program, simply because the turnover of real estate in most communities is somewhere between, in current times, is somewhere between 4 to 6%. So you have the other 95, 96, 98, 92% of the community providing funds for any particular failure. This would at least bottom out real estate and give a good basis in many communities, especially those that are hard hit, and give us a bounce here. We're beginning to see some really good opportunities in real estate. If you're interested in buying something as a residence, now's as good a time as any. If it drops, you're still buying it at a significant reduction. We experienced the 1990 banking failure. Keep in mind that in those times, prices that were especially condo and co-op market in the major cities took 12 years to recover, from 1990-91 till around 2002, 2004, before we started to see the prices that we had realized back in the late 80s and 1990. I don't think this is going to be any different. I think what's going to happen is some markets are going to recover fairly well. Other markets are going to take a long time. However, it's still a good time. There's many benefits to be derived. Responsibility is the answer. We're going to do another show by the end of this week. Next week we're off to Africa, but we'll have a couple of shows for you then. Good luck. See you soon.